Hey YouTube, I have been meaning to record this for a while, but welcome back if you have seen my other videos and they have led you here. If not, then if you are new here, then welcome. I am an incoming dental student to the University of Maryland School of Dentistry, class of 2026, so I'll be starting later this year in August. I got into dental school with a 3.07 overall GPA and a 2.72 science GPA. And today I will be talking about the advice that I'm giving all of you for applying to dental school with a low GPA. Coming from somebody who got into dental school with a low GPA. It'd be funny if this is the video that you guys watch to introduce yourself to my channel, because I'm like severely sleep deprived because I've been working night shifts and my sleep schedule is just all over the fucking place. But yeah, I've been meaning to record this for a long time, so I just want to get this out there before, I just want to get this out there sooner for everybody. So even if I'm not looking my best, you guys deserve everything, and I'm gonna give this to you. I'm going to talk about some of the advice that I have. One of the things that I get a lot of questions about applying to dental school and having a low GPA, and what made me stand out, and all of these other factors. But the thing is, my story is completely different than yours. Yours will be very specific to you, and your story is special and needs to be told in a special way. But given all of that, I think the biggest piece of advice that I could give to anybody, the biggest piece of advice is to apply early. Like, apply the day that it opens. Prepare your application. Make sure that it's ready to submit on day one. It's rolling admissions. I don't think people really think about that enough, but it's rolling admissions. So dental schools will get all of the applicants, and they start reviewing as soon as they get their applications. And if your application is being held back by your DET or your letters of recommendation or your transcripts or whatever it is, they're not going to see your application first. And they're just trying to give out interviews. They are trying to fill their seats. So you want to be in that group, and you don't want to have your application be viewed after everybody else has been reviewed. So then you're being essentially compared to everybody else. And at that point, they're kind of already filled in seats. They've kind of already given out interviews. So you want to have your foot first in the door. Like, you want to be the first one there, the first applicant. It's the biggest piece of advice I could give. And people kind of just ignore this one. And I have no idea why. Yes, you can still get into dental school later on in the cycle. I'm not saying that you can't, but I'm just saying if you're going to apply with a low GPA, just do yourself a favor and apply early. Be the first one to apply. Don't make it any more harder on your application if you apply late with a low GPA. Just don't do that to yourself. Give yourself the time to finish your application, submit it early, and then not be compared to that many other people. Like, it just don't do that to yourself. Just apply early, okay? Like, please do that for me. Do that for yourself. Like, just do that. Apply early. Biggest piece of advice I could give. The second thing is focus on the rest of your application. A lot of dental schools are looking more holistically at applicants. For GPAs low, then of course, that's gonna weigh you down. So you wanna make up for it with the other parts of your application. And by that, you have your DAT scores, your shadowing hours, volunteer hours. You have a little bit more control over that. You can go and try to get involved locally or start shadowing a dentist. I know COVID has kind of impacted things. Hours in now. They do virtual shadowing hours too. I don't know how things have changed a lot because of COVID, because of that, but you can still call around and try to get some shadowing experience. And then your letters of recommendation. I've heard a lot from a lot of people about getting committee letters versus letters of recommendation. If you have a committee letter, it's not expected, but it's kind of expected for you to get a committee letter if it's offered. I want to preface this too with the advice that I'm giving is just from my experience. It's not like you need to do this specifically to get into dental school. Like, I'm just kind of sharing some of the advice that I have from my experience applying as someone who has a low GPA, and I don't really have much to compare it to. And where you can stand out, where you can actually put your personality into the application is your personal statement. So definitely don't slack on your personal statement. I talked about a lot of this in my other videos, my application part of it, and I did make I made one on my personal, I'm really sleep deprived. I'm really sorry. Look, I'm really sleep deprived. So this video might be all over the place and I might re-record some of it later. We'll see. But don't slack on any portion of the rest of your application. Like, put a lot of time in the rest of your application because you need that to kind of help you or help out your application since your GPA is on the lower side. Another tip that I have is to be really, really critical about where you apply to dental schools. And by this, I mean so look at minimum GPA requirements. So a lot of people will ask me about this because I had a really low GPA, and some dental schools, their GPA cutoff, especially science GPA cutoff, it's like a 3.0. I wouldn't be able to apply to those schools and I would be automatically turned down. This is one thing that people need to recognize is that when you're applying to these dental schools, there's a GPA cutoff. And when you send your application in, it will get automatically denied because you don't meet that minimum requirement. So when we talk about applying to dental schools with a low GPA, we're talking about at least meeting that cutoff. You can, be really low and have the rest of your application stand out and it's great and everything. But you need to meet those minimum GPA requirements. Otherwise, your application will be automatically denied. There are some schools that don't have a minimum, so these would be the schools to consider. And if there are ones that have a minimum, make sure that your stats are above that minimum requirement. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're still not competing against everybody else. It's not really competition, but in the eyes of the dental school, you are being compared to them. It's just unfortunately how it goes. But make sure that you meet these minimum requirements from the schools that you apply to so that you don't get automatically denied. Look for those dental schools that don't have a minimum, or look at the range at which the dental schools average GPA is and what they accept, in the 5th percentile and 95th percentile. You can find this on the Dental School Explorer. But be really critical about where you apply. Look at this out-of-state stats. If you're applying out of state, how many do they accept out of state? If you see that, UCSF Dental School accepts those with a 2.95 GPA. It's yeah, but their average is their average is really high. So even though you meet that requirement, it still is probably going to be difficult for you to get in there because their average GPA is a lot higher. It's still going to be really difficult to get into that school. So it would be something to consider, but just know that the statistics on that is that you are less likely to get in there. And I'm just trying to make sure you guys don't waste your money. Just make sure that you look at the rest of your application, you apply early. These are the biggest things to me that you need to have to apply. I did make an application video. Please look at it. It will walk you through the AdSAS application. And I think that that will help you get an idea of what's on the application so you can prepare for it. It opens up on May 15th. It's a soft opening. And the soft opening, you can submit your transcripts, you can submit letters of recommendation, you can start inputting your grades, you can get all of your application together, and then you won't be able to submit it until June 1st. So I'd highly recommend making the most use out of that like soft opening period to get your application in order so that you can submit it the first day. And the next thing is, the next thing I think is really big. So you need to have a plan B. You know, it's I mean, if you're looking at this video and you have low stats, then you need to also consider on, you know, if this is definitely the career that you want to go into and you are willing to do whatever it takes to get into dental school, you know, yes, you can still apply and, you know, try to get in, but you have to think a little bit more realistically about your situation and start planning on a plan B. Like, you know, think about doing a year master's program or a post-bac or even just like a DIY post-bac where you take classes at a community college, because, you know, to have all of your eggs in one basket is just kind of, it can waste your time and your money. And I don't recommend doing that. I recommend having like a plan B in mind that you can get started on or start after you apply, so that you're not just crossing your fingers and hoping to get in and you don't have anything prepared, because that's going to make it a lot harder on you to accept that maybe you didn't get accepted into anywhere or you didn't get waitlisted or hear back for interviews. And that's going to be a lot harder to then try to plan for plan B than it is if you already had that mindset that if I don't get in, at least I'm working on a plan B, and then this is when I'll reapply. Because it helps a lot more. Like when I applied, I didn't think that I'd get in. I honestly, you know, you want to apply with the best application that represents you at this moment. I put my all into my application, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I thought that I would get in. I honestly was not expecting to get in. So I had started a post-bac. Now I didn't need the post-bac in the end because I got into dental school, but if I didn't start that post-bac and I didn't get into dental school, then I'd be left with, okay, now I have to start a post-bac, or now I need to think about what my plan B is. And that's harder to do after the fact than if you had thought about this previously. Because for me, I applied, started my post-bac, and then if I had finished my post-bac this year, it would have been done in time to reapply for the following cycle. Like, completely avoided, you know, this time where I need to figure out, I'm scrambling to figure out what it is that I want to do. You know, what is my plan B when, you know, if I got denied or not. So please, if you are applying with a low GPA or low DAT score or low stats, whatever it is, please just have a plan B in mind. Now, you don't need to get started on it immediately, but just know that it's just really nice to have a cushion to fall back on. Like, please don't put all of your eggs in one basket. It makes it harder on everybody. And one thing that you can do, so this is the next thing on my list, but one thing that you can do is start connecting to the dental school, start connecting to the dental students, and connecting to the schools that you are interested in and you think that you'd have a chance at. And talk to them, because sometimes they'll tell you what stats you need to get in. Or, you know, maybe your GPA is not that bad and, you know, you just need a certain DAT score according to that school. You know, if you get a 20 on your DAT, then you'll have a chance at the school according to talking to that school. You know, sometimes the schools offer a post-bac program or a master's program that will help you apply to their dental school. So, like, connect with the dental schools they'll be the best type of people to ask for advice on how to get into their school. You know, they'll know what kind of stats you need to get into their school, what kind of requirements that you need to get into their school. And the dental students will give you advice about applying to their school, interview process, what it's like in their dental school, that kind of thing. So it's really nice to connect to dental students who have been through the same application, kind of same journey as you've gone through. Yeah. Also, if the school has like impression days or dental school tours or anything like that, so you can actually get involved, go to dental days, whatever, pre-dental days at the school, definitely take advantage of that. I feel like it not only, you know, you can look at the school itself and see what the facilities are like and what it's going to be like as a student there, but it also, you can put it on your application as well, which I think is super important. You know, showing that you have an interest in this school. And then the other thing that I wanted to say was that if you don't get in, or if you're going to take some time, you know, before you apply, just work on yourself. Take this time out of your life. Like, you are only young once, and I know this is funny to say from someone who's only 24, but like, you're only young once, and you spend all of your youth in school and then in dental school. So like, you know, this is for the average applicant. Obviously there's applicants who apply when they're older and stuff like that, but you know, if you're in a similar position to me, you know, you're only young once. Like, just enjoy this time. It's not a race, you know. I feel like people finish with undergrad and feel like they need to get into dental school right away. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. Take the time to work on yourself. Take some time to enjoy your youth and do the things that you can't do while you're in dental school or while you're working after dental school. Like, make the most out of this time. And sometimes people work during this time. Like, I worked during my gap years, and I think that it was one of the most important things for me to get experience out in the real world, and also get experience, you know, figuring out what kind of employers that I would like to work for, figuring out, you know, like what kind of life that I want to lead as a dentist. And also, like, it's a chance also to save up money for dental school. Like, applications are expensive. DAT is expensive. I covered another video about the cost of dental school, and it's just expensive. So, like, if you can take some time to save up for that, don't have to take out loans or anything, it just will help you in the long run. Yeah, so just, like, work on yourself. Take this time to, you know, and for me, I had issues with my mental health. So I took my gap years to work on my mental health, see a therapist, get on the right medications, prepare myself for, you know, dental school's not going to be easy. So this is the biggest thing that I can say for people who are dealing with mental illness and or disabilities, that you can take this time to kind of prepare yourself for dental school. You know, be the best person that you can become, you know, start working on with your therapist or, you know, your doctor about preparing yourself for dental school. Definitely take advantage of this time. But the biggest thing that I want to say, the takeaway with this, to all of you guys watching, you know, is that it's not if you get into dental school. It's about when you get into dental school. Like, repeat that to yourself every single day. And it's not if you get into dental school, because you will get into dental school. You all will be dentists. You know, who's ever watching this and is pre-dent applying to dental school, you will all be dentists at some point in your life. Now, it's not if you get into dental school, it's about when. So it's not a race. You're not competing against your classmates. You are on your own journey to dental school, and you will go through whatever road that takes. If it's taking some time off from school, if it's getting a job and pursuing a different career and then coming back, if it's, you know, applying right after undergrad or while you're in undergrad and not taking a gap year, everyone's journey will be very different, and you shouldn't compare yourself to anybody else. Like, If I compared myself to everybody else in my class, it doesn't make any sense, because my story's so different, and yet I got into the same class as some other people who went to prestigious schools, or, you know, had a very different background, was international students, and we're all in the same class. You know, we're all in the same, going to the same dental school in the end. So it doesn't really matter what kind of journey it takes you to get to dental school. You're all going to end up in dental school at some point. We're all going to be in the same class. We're all going to be peers, you know. And I say we because you will get there at some point, and we will be peers. I keep telling this to all the dental or pre-dental students that come and message me, is that, you know, you'll be in dental school at some point and you will be my peer. And I think that everybody should treat, like, you should treat all of your other, like, the other students that you run into, or anybody else, like they are going to be your classmates, or they are going to be the people that you work with. And it's super important to be kind to everybody, because it's not a competition. I know, like, people have this mindset about med school, about being super competitive and stuff, but, like, the dental community is not like that. Don't make it like that. We're all in the same boat. We're all just going to the same place. Just help out people when you can. I'm going to get emotional about this because it's like, it's a lot. And I'm also sleep deprived, so I'm going to let you guys go. I will talk to you in the next video. Hopefully I can bring a little bit more insight. And I have to edit the shit out of this. Yeah, okay. All right, I hope you guys take care. Please contact with me on Instagram, or comment here if you need any advice or just want to talk to me personally. And I'd really appreciate it. I hope you guys stick with me and see the rest of my story about getting into dental school. I'm currently just, like, working a ton as a DoorDasher and just trying to get a job so I can afford moving across the country, because seat deposits and stuff are expensive. But I will take you guys with me on the journey of starting dental school and all of that. So I want to make a video about mental health in dental school once I'm finished with a semester or two of dental school. But anyway, take care, you guys. I love you. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.